This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Tuesday, November 5th, 2019, Guy Fawkes Day, and we've got a lot to talk about. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Mike is in our control room, ready to answer the phone, put you on the air with your comments, questions, and observations. So all across Britain, of course, and actually given the time zone difference right about now, they're having the bonfires and celebrating Guy Fawkes Day. Turning to our domestic politics here, apparently email released through a Freedom of Information Act request shows that Burisma's lobbyists used Hunter Biden's position on the board of the corrupt Ukrainian gas company to request a meeting with Obama, Kerry, State Department officials while Joe Biden was vice president. Well, if you talk about Ukrainian corruption, there it is right there. And let's be honest, quid pro quo is a big part of politics around the world. The United States does not just hand out money without a good reason, unless it's to Israel. When the United States hands out money to any country, Ukraine or otherwise, there's usually an expectation of something coming back the other way. So quid pro quo or crime, the entire Congress would be behind bars right about now. Okay, Gordon Sondland has now changed his testimony. He's saying, oh yeah, now that I've thought about it and been shown those embarrassing pictures, yes, I did tell a Ukraine official that withholding of U.S. aid was linked to the Biden investigation. So he got bought or blackmailed or something. And they're manufacturing this case out of thin air. And again, even if Trump said, I'm going to withhold the aid while you investigate corruption, because Ukraine's notorious for corruption, especially in its energy sector, how is that a crime? Now, George Nassif has dropped 7 million documents, one of which implicated John Kerry and Obama in Ukraine for $500 million. Over at Fox News, host Steve Hilton straight up accuses Marie Harf of covering up the corruption of the Bidens in Ukraine because she worked at the State Department during the Obama years. Project Veritas has come out with another video. This one is a leaker from inside of ABC, basically saying they had everything on Jeff Epstein years ago. They had Clinton's involvement, they had Prince Andrew, they had everything. And the network management said, no, we're not going to report that. Now, basically, ABC News, this anchor, has admitted a coordinated cover-up of Jeff Epstein rapes by corporate media. News outlets are therefore complicit in the repeated child rape claims. Understand why so many of them think it's okay to behave that way here. So ABC has issued a statement of their own, which basically is lawyer speak, saying that, we're all of our reporting met our standards at the time, and the decision was made not to move forward. But basically, O'Keefe is saying, this is your standard network TV, cover your rear end response. Fact is, we know what Epstein was doing. The whole world knows what Epstein was doing. Now we're finding out ABC knew what Epstein was doing and would not report it. Getting on over to the impeachment witch hunt, Adam Schiff and the Democrats are starting to leak selected excerpts from the various transcripts to the media so that they can coordinate and help make the case against Trump in the eyes of the public. But so far, Ambassador Yovanovitch's 300-page testimony is based entirely on assumptions, innuendo, and what was already in the corporate media. There is no original source material there that indicates anything was done wrong. They're cut and pasting it, and they're letting it out there so the media can say, well, by golly, something bad went down. We're not sure what happened, but Trump's a baddie. We got to get rid of him here. Now, Representative Devin Nunes is saying that the GOP's first witness to testify in the impeachment hearing will be Adam Schiff himself, because he was there right at the beginning when the supposed whistleblower came forward and started this whole bit of nonsense. And we now know that the so-called whistleblower was also part of the Russiagate hoax. Now, Pat Buchanan is out with an article saying, where are the high crimes? And he's making a point that we've been making here for quite some time. Everybody's screaming impeachment, impeachment, impeachment. For what? Where are the high crimes and misdemeanors? They're not there. So Buchanan thinks this will eventually reach the Senate, but they've got nothing to work with. I want to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining the network. Now, Grassley is out there seeking details on administrative sanctions for the deliberate mishandling of classified information on Hillary Clinton's private server. They've conducted an investigation and they have found dozens of cases. Hillary staffers intentionally put classified documents onto public email, including Hillary's private server. They weren't using the secure State Department servers. Now, Elizabeth Warren is still out there on the campaign trail. She's smelling blood in the water relative to Joe Biden, and she's out there screaming about how she's going to reform banking. And apparently she didn't clear her rhetorical skirts, if you will, with Wall Street. They're starting to cut off donations to the Democrats over Warren's rhetoric. They're concerned she really means it. Meanwhile, Tulsi Gabbard is out there saying that the U.S. government is hiding the truth about 9/11 terror attacks. Now, in her case, she's insisting that there is evidence out there that Saudi Arabia was involved. And maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Personally, I think she's looking in the wrong direction. But it almost doesn't matter. Because if Tulsi can push through to the point where the American people know that the U.S. government lied about 9/11 in any aspect at all, then the American people are going to sit back and say, well, what else have we been lied to about? We know we were lied to about Saddam's nuclear weapons. We were lied to about Assad's sarin gas. Now we know we're being lied to about 9/11. Why did we invade Afghanistan? Why did we bomb Iraq? If Saudi Arabia was connected with 9/11, why didn't we bomb them? Again, I think Tulsi's pointed in the wrong direction. But if she makes a breakthrough, it's still good overall for the 9/11 truth movement here. All right, let's talk about the international news here. Over in Syria, the army prepares for an advance in northern Latakia. And Turkish-backed forces shelled a U.S. military column near Tal Tamr in northeastern Syria. And it's getting so confusing over there that the Americans don't know who they're supposed to be shooting at. That's because our Syria policy keeps mutating and fluctuating over and over and over again. So in response to a recent escalation in northern Latakia, the Syrian Arab Army has deployed a batch of reinforcements south of the militant-held town of Kobani. And Syria's military leadership is also considering to deploy units from the Tiger forces to the area. And if this is confirmed, the Syrian military may undertake offensive actions around Kobani in the very near future. Now, during the past few years, U.S.-backed militants used Kobani as a foothold to shell and attack government-controlled area. The liberation of this town may become a turning point in restoring security and defeating terrorism in this part of Syria. I don't know why they're still calling it terrorism. It's an outright war is what it is. Getting on back to Donald Trump, remember when he made a big deal about I'm pulling forces out of Syria, huzzah, huzzah, huzzah. Then we find out they really didn't get all that far before being turned right around and going right back into where they were. They're setting up new military bases around those oil-rich areas. So the war has gone from Assad gassing his own people to crushing ISIS to, let's just be honest and say, we're there to steal the oil. Now, Moscow is slamming the United States' illegal presence in Syria amid these reports of new military bases being built in the oil-rich province. And nobody can make a legal case for why the U.S. should be in there. It's just Trump is saying, no, we're in there. That's it. I have decided, mahi dictum est. We're going to be in Syria. We got to keep that oil away from ISIS, and we've got to keep it away from Assad. So, again, there's so much flip-flopping going on. U.S. troops are really not sure where they're supposed to shoot at anymore. Now, the Pentagon can't operate off of Trump's Twitter feed because it bounces around so much. And also, Twitter, of course, does not represent an official channel of communication between the administration and the military. So they're left kind of guessing, what are we supposed to be doing today? All right, the Secretary General of the Palestine Liberation Organization Executive Committee said that Israel's occupation has stolen 90% of the Jordan Valley. And the biggest danger regarding the Jordan Valley and Israel's settlements is Israel's attempt to extend its sovereignty over the valley under security pretexts that are aimed at tightening restrictions on the Palestinians. And he pointed out the occupation state, Israel, has taken an estimated $450 million worth of property stolen from the local Palestinian residents. Kind of like Trump's attitude towards Syria. We're just going to take it. Nobody can stop us, so we're just going to take it here. Needless to say, tensions between Israel and Jordan are rising. And apparently, earlier today, Jordan recalled its ambassador from Tel Aviv for consultation in protest at Israel's months-long detention of 2 Jordanians without charge or trial. Israel really does believe they are above international law here. Meanwhile, Israel's chief rabbi, Yitzhak Yosef, has come on out there declaring Afro-Americans to be monkeys. Now, Yosef's status as chief rabbi is constitutionally recognized in Israel. It's official. And he's always inciting violence against Palestinians, unreported by America's corporate media. Now he's out there saying that Afro-Americans are monkeys. That's not being reported in America's corporate media. Can you imagine anybody else in our culture, society, saying that Afro-Americans are monkeys and not be literally crucified in the press? Because this guy's an Israeli, no, we're not going to report it. We're not going to report it. Dan Crenshaw is out there trying to sell the idea that criticism of Israel is not protected under the First Amendment. Well, I've read that First Amendment many times over. There are no exceptions in it at all. And the only way you're going to get an exception in there is with a new constitutional amendment. And I don't think that's going to fly. I don't think you're going to get that past 3/4 of the states for ratification. Now, Iran, in response to recent increases in sanctions, is now saying they will start enriching uranium to 5% at the Fordo site as of, in fact, tomorrow. And the JCPOA had set a limit of 3.67%. So this going up to 5% is largely symbolic, and it's still way, way, way below what would be needed to actually build a nuclear weapon. Now, Iran has said they're capable of enriching uranium up to 20% at the Fordo plant. They're not doing it currently because they have a stockpile of 20% enriched uranium. which is useful for things like reactor fuel. And Iran does have a nuclear power plant. Over in North Korea, they're saying that Washington's terrorism blacklist, its redesignation of Pyongyang as a state sponsor of terror, is hindering nuclear diplomacy. So the United States isn't changing their tactics. You know the old saying, catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. All the United States seems to have these days is more and more vinegar. Now, I love this next story. The United States Navy is facing a major problem in maintaining its larger ships, especially the aircraft carriers. And right now, all the carriers assigned to the Atlantic are in port in various stages of repairs. And the Navy's finally admitting they can't get a handle on all of this. So who are they going to turn to? The Carnival Cruise Lines. Because they have developed very good maintenance techniques to keep their cruise lines at sea. So I think it's kind of funny. I'm sure that Carnival Cruise Lines is going to be, puffing up their chest and saying, see, we're helping over here. All right, on the 29th of October, the Norwegian news outlet NRK broke the story that between 8 and 10 Russian submarines, including the new Sierra 2 class, had begun exercises in the North Atlantic. This is one of the largest Russian naval exercises focused on submarine warfare since the end of the Cold War. And it's likely that one of the core purposes of the exercise is to test the stealth capability of Russian subs. They've been working on that for quite a while, and of NATO forces' abilities to track them as they push through what's called the GUIK gap, which is the strategic bottleneck between Greenland, Iceland, and Great Britain. Now, the Sierra 2 class submarine, like the Alpha, has a titanium hull, meaning it can dive a much greater depth than conventional steel-hulled submarines, and it's also much quieter than most other submarines. Apparently, they also took out one of their Boré-class SSBNs and test-fired one of those missiles as well. And supposedly the test worked very well. Okay, over in Europe, let's talk about the economic news here. The Hungarian central bank chief Matoszky calls the euro a trap. And he's saying it's time to get out. 20 years after the euro's launch, most of the necessary pillars of a successful global currency are still missing. It doesn't work. And it's impoverishing the people of Europe. It's taking the real wealth created by the labor of the people of Europe, and it's putting it in the pockets of the bankers. And everybody who understands banking knows this is a dead end anyway. Because central banks, especially private central banks, build up debt faster than money with which to pay that debt until the debt crushes the system. And we're starting to see that happen here in the United States. We're starting to see that happen in Europe. None of our politicians want to address that because the fingers will start pointing. Well, you did this. This is all your fault. Don't blame us. The American Farm Bureau is warning that farm bankruptcies are entering a parabolic curve. They have soared 24%. And it's accelerating and will likely equal the farm disaster that was seen in the early 1980s. And part of the problem are the farm bailouts, which are failing. There's this tsunami in farm bankruptcies sweeping across the country. With record high debt, collapsing farm income, and depressed commodity prices because of the trade war, U.S. farmers are dropping like flies because there is no end in sight of the 15-month-long trade war. Now, China has suggested that if a trade deal were to be reached, that they would buy we're already at a commercial break. We're going to stop for a commercial. Join us on the air, 800-313-9443, and we'll be right back.
corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Welcome to What Really Happened Radio. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. And now, set your eyes on the future and let's consider what really happened.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're talking about the economic news. And China has indicated that if the trade war comes to an end, if a deal is made, it will aim to buy $20 billion in U.S. farm goods in the first year of the initial deal. It should be good for all those farmers who are struggling to avoid bankruptcy here. But if the trade war hadn't started in the first place, China's 2020 purchases would have exceeded $27 billion. So even under the best of circumstances, the American farmer is down $7 billion. That's something that the Democrats can point to as indications that Trump has kind of messed up the economy. And it almost seems like we have all these various world leaders, including Donald Trump, who think that statesmanship is showing the willingness to let your own people suffer more than the people in other countries in order to achieve whatever it is the goal was going to achieve. And we're seeing a backlash around the world. Everybody's waking up. Latin America's waking up, so is Africa. Latin America street protests against the U.S. IMF imposed debt trap and the consequential austerity programs, which make the rich richer and the poor poorer, are raging in Honduras, Nicaragua, Ecuador, Chile, Argentina, and even in Brazil. Argentina and Latin America, though much of the subcontinent was supposedly freed from Spain and Portugal in the 19th century, a new kind of colonization followed by the new empire of the United States under the so-called Monroe Doctrine, named after James Monroe, which forbade Europeans to interfere in any American territory. And that's basically where the United States got this attitude that South America is our backyard. It's ours to play in. You stay out. Now the people down there in South and Central America are saying, we don't want to be your backyard. Uber has lost another $1.2 billion. Once again, the stock has taken a nosedive. Now here's a good one. Voters out in Los Angeles approved a scheme for the city to spend $1.2 billion building housing for some of its 27,000 homeless people. Good so far. It turned out, past all the paperwork and presumed graft and corruption, it's coming out to $500,000 per unit. To err is human. To really mess things up takes government. Speaking of government, apparently out in California, PG&E declared bankruptcy last January, but that didn't stop them from spending millions of dollars lobbying politicians, especially the ones who sponsored the bailout. So, still out there trying to buy political influence in a town where political influence is not only for sale, there's so much of it, the price has been discounted. But investors in PG&E are basically right now losing $1 billion per day in these wildfires and the blackouts. And the lawsuits haven't even started just yet. Okay. Now, this is a very bizarre case, and it bodes ill for the American people. Oklahoma police have asked a federal court to support their claim that citizens who fully comply with police during an arrest do not have a clearly established right to be free from police brutality. And apparently, this was the result of a lawsuit filed by attorneys for the Rutherford Institute on behalf of Gerald Edwards, an African-American who, despite fully complying with police orders during an arrest, was subjected to excessive force and brutality, including being thrown to the ground, tasered, and placed in a chokehold that rendered him unconscious and required 3 days of hospitalization. And so what the police are trying to say is, we have a license to use excessive force. Even if the person we're confronting is 100% cooperative and presents no threat, we need to have a right to just throw them around and bash them and do all kinds of stuff. Okay, we have a caller on the line. Joe, actually, we're coming up on a commercial break here. So, Joe, stay on the line here. And after the commercial break, I'm going to come back to you. We've been talking about this swine flu that has raced around planet Earth. It's killed at least 1/4 of Earth's pig population. Something that people are not talking about is the fact is that swine flu always jumps to humans. You think about that one for a little bit. Swine flu always jumps to humans. So we could be on the edge of some major health unhappiness. All right, we're going to take a break for more commercials. We're going to be back with a phone call after these few words, so please stay tuned.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. By Christine, great for heart palpitations. By Anne, before I started using this product, every afternoon my ankles and my hands would be swollen. That doesn't happen anymore. So if that part of their advertising is true, I have to assume that the rest of it is also. Not to mention that when I had my yearly blood test, only a few weeks after beginning to use this product, my cholesterol had dropped over 30 points. I'm going to continue to take it. By Croc, I love this product. It really works. By Brad, works great, thank you. Tell us your story. Get your Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're going to go to the phones to Joe in Tennessee. Aloha, Joe. Welcome back to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. I wanted to talk about, there's a horse that named Covfefe that had won in Santa Anita. I think it's 6-8 now. And by winning, it's brought up that whole controversy of that word that Trump used. At the time he used it, when he just first became president, they said that he misspelled coffee. And it was interesting that it is actually an ancient word, and Google actually wiped clean the word's definition from its search algorithms, because for some reason they don't want you to know what that word is. And Trump had commented in Twitter that maybe something with deep meaning. And it turns out some historian or somebody said that the word, it goes back to pre-Adamic times, before the flood and all that stuff. And it means, in the end, we will win. And I just find it interesting that Google and the powers that be in the media would try to keep a word's definition away from the American people. And, you know, this is a little quirky, but it kind of reinforces my opinion of the occult and secret society groups, that they really want to alienate us from our history and our language, and even words. I mean, to have and I think that this is also a signal to me that Trump is aware of this and is playing a deeper game than we might think. Because once again, I had no idea about this until today. Actually, I heard the X-22 report, and the guy was talking about it, and it is very interesting because I look into a lot of like ancient history that's suppressed archaeology and things like that. And this is a prime example of why you can't trust like the Smithsonian archaeological things, because if it's something that's inconvenient or they don't want you to know, they like Google just literally wiped it from their search engine. I mean, that's insanity, but why are they, what makes them fear that word, And once again, the word supposedly means it's pre-Adam. Well, it goes back to the days of, before the flood, and then after with the Tower of Babel, even after the flood. And it means in the end we will win. And there were people that knew what that word meant, and Trump knew what it meant, and yet they pretended like it was a misspelling, and they wouldn't even allow Google to change the search algorithm, kind of like wiped it from history, like 1984.
Yes. Exactly. I was going to make that reference.
And I know it seems like it's a small thing, but it really isn't. I mean, when you think about it, what else are they keeping from us? Mike? I mean, what other like interesting facts and history and archaeology and language and linguism are they keeping from us? And when I was flying to
the fact that we discovered life on Mars in 1976 immediately leaps to the forefront.
Yeah, I mean, how much, what's our real true history? I mean, what's going on? It's like how much in the dark are they keeping us that they will alienate us from a word, And even the president of the United States can say this word, and you won't really you'll just get bits and pieces of it. And this is like 3 years later, and because a horse wins a horse race, I'm figuring it out. And it's just kind of, it's just a grasping at how, how suppressed truth is to us people, and how the powers that be in science and archaeology and all that really, they keep the public in the dark. It's not about informing us. It's about manipulating us. And, I was talking to somebody on the boat about like smart people and real highly intelligent people, and watching the movie about J.R. Tolkien, you really have to wonder how much linguists, like really like super genius linguists, must really know about our history. I don't think anybody really, I think if you really knew like linguism and languages, I think you probably know more about our history than historians do, because of the where words come from, and the where people came from, Irish, Gaelic, all these words, the tie in between like Irish language and Hebrew, ancient Hebrew. I mean, these things, are just very interesting to me, and I wish I had the brain power to really be able to process it. But
yes,
it does once again reinforce my views on the way that information is controlled, and how a simple word like kofefi can cause such authoritarian action by tech and the media, and did Trump do this on purpose? Was it an accident? I think he did it on purpose, and it's just interesting that this could be at this kind of a level, so. The other thing, I wanted to talk about Flynn being a 3-star. I looked it up. He was a 3-star lieutenant general, and I still can't believe the Army is just, going to roll over and let what happened to him go without some kind of a payback in one way or another. The FBI, the CIA, the DOJ, the media, and the Democrats, and all our judges that are involved, they really need a comeuppance. And you're supposed to respect institutions in Washington. And remember Comey, how he like joked about the fact that he wouldn't, that they hit Flynn before the White House had its act together, and he never would have got away with it with any other White House. And he thought it was funny, Mr. Comey out there. I got family that are in the Army, and when you disrespect the 3-star general, you're disrespecting everybody in the Army. And to entrap him and to disgrace his uniform like that and to treat him like that, I really and to see that smirking bastard on television, it just surprises me. Their arrogance, how arrogant these people are, these deep state traitors, that they just sit around and joke about that. And I'm hoping that that there's some justice coming. And you were talking about
in the Flynn case, there may be. The judge basically canceled the hearing that was supposed to take place this week, and he's reviewing the case in light of the fact that it's now known the FBI altered Flynn's FD 302 forms. Now, the FBI is saying, well, we lost the originals and we had to recreate them, but trust us, this is what was said. Which is utterly ridiculous. But the prosecutors may have been in contempt of court, and it could result in the charges being dismissed and the entire case tossed out of court, at which point Flynn is ideally positioned for countersuits.
Well, that's my whole issue is like, yeah, okay, so he gets his, all the charges against him dismissed, but, we need justice for the perpetrators of the crimes against this man and the crimes against us as voters, the people that voted for Trump. I really was expecting great things from Michael Flynn. I knew about him before Trump was being inaugurated. I was very happy that of course that Trump got elected, but to have him as the national security advisor, I was like ecstatic. And the way they targeted him and went after him, and it was like hobbled the Trump presidency right from the start. So they robbed me of 3 years in this country, of 3 years of what our potential, where we could be. And I don't know if that position is still open and for the National Security Council or whatever, but I would put Flynn on there if I was Trump, and to make up for it. And I just hope Comey and all the people involved go to prison. It's not just like a slap on the hand. These people there needs to be some form of justice, or sooner or later the people are going to have to take justice up in our own hands, because we're not getting it from the people that are supposed to give justice. I mean, that's where this leads. I mean, I hate to see it, because we live in a country that's supposed to be by law, but if there is no justice, sooner or later the people are going to have to take justice with their own hands, because there's no other way to get it. I mean, look at this ABC with Epstein. They hid the information. This guy's a child molester, and they suppress the information. I mean, these are the same people that talk about Me Too and Kavanaugh, and they go around acting like, they're the defenders of morals and this and that, and they suppressed information about a child molester. I mean, it's amazing, and nobody else is talking about it. Nobody's talking about it except the alt-right, and it's kind of sad, So we live in this world where it's like, if people watch the news, the mainstream media, it's like they're come from another planet. They can't reason. They're being fed, it's bad enough that they changed the words definition of words that we can, try to find. But there are people out there that are just fed nonstop lies, and they believe it. And you talk to them, and you might as well be talking to somebody from another country in another language, because they're just incapable of understanding you. I've given up on them, to tell you the truth. Hello? Hello?
I'm sorry. People are waking up around the world, and Zbigniew Brzezinski called it the Grand Global Awakening. Of course, from his point of view, that's a bad thing. They want us all to go back to sleep, go back to dreaming, go back to believing, going back to just doing as we're told to do, because that's how they manage the herd, as it were. Okay, looks like Joe just let go of us, so we're going to go to Ken in Michigan. Aloha, Ken. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. Today I want to talk about the police.
Yes.
What I'm afraid of is one day they're going to take a step too far, and videotaping them doing what they're doing isn't going to be enough. You know, and it's like, and then the crowd that's around is going to do their vigilante justice, I guess.
Yes.
You know, and take matters into their own hands against them. You know, with this police in Oklahoma, you know, that could be the kickoff point for all of that. And I really don't want to see it. I have friends and family that are police officers, and I worry about them a lot. And, you know, I talk to them going, you know, you can't be doing all of this stuff. You got to do it the right way. And they totally know what's going on. But I think it's going to be a step too far really soon.
We seem to be on a path from which there is no return, whether we're talking about the global wars or the economy or police conduct against law-abiding citizens. And you're right, that case in Oklahoma, if it wasn't so serious, it would be laughed at. This idea that police have a right to be brutal with anybody they meet, even if that person does not represent a threat, does not try and resist, is being 100% fully cooperative. But, hey, I'm kind of bored. Let's tase this guy anyway.
Right. My roid rage is, you know, I need to satisfy my roid rage. Let's kick the crap out of somebody.
Yeah, it's bad out there, and I'm not surprised that we're seeing attacks on the police like we're seeing in New York City right now, cars being vandalized and so forth. And everybody's trying to say, "Oh, bad people for not respecting the police." But you know, respect is a two-way street, and for years now, we're not getting any respect from the police departments. You know, with all this civil asset forfeiture and unconstitutional stop and search. This is not what policing is supposed to be about.
Even in my own life, you know, I'll be driving down the road and I'll see a police officer sitting on the side of the street, and I'll get nervous, you know, and I'll check and make sure I'm doing everything right. I'm not speeding or nothing. Yep. And I'll watch that cop until I can't see them no more, because I don't want to have any kind of interaction with them, because I don't know if they're having a bad hair day and they want to beat somebody up.
Well, don't forget there's that other aspect, and that has to do with the fact that prescription antidepressants can trigger rage and violent behavior. And there was a study done down in Florida that found that police officers are much higher consumers of these kinds of medications than the general public. In fact, 1 out of every 4 police officers surveyed was on one of these SSRI type drugs.
Yeah, and that's epidemic, and that needs to, of course, also with the way they're hiring the police, you know, the low IQ individuals.
Yep.
Who think, okay, I watched this YouTube video, they did it, it must be good for me. Go give it a try.
Well, I remember when I was I remember when I was in high school, and I briefly joined the Police Explorer group, and I had it in my head I could be a decent detective. But then I saw behind the scenes at the local police station. I said, no, I could never survive getting through this thing. All right. Thank you for the phone call, Joe. I'm sorry, Ken. We're going to let you go here. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Okay. Now, over at Del Monte, they have recalled more than 140 vegetable products due to fears of listeria. Yesterday, it was salmonella was causing a recall, and this recall is vegetable products made by a Fresh Del Monte produce subsidiary sold at supermarkets across the U.S. and Canada, and they are being recalled due to concerns they may be contaminated with listeria. Now, the recall includes items like veggie trays, mixes, and bowls sold under the Mann's brand or private labels including Trader Joe's, H-E-B Kroger, and Safeway's Signature Farms. Now, my concern is simply this. We're already looking at going into a period of food shortages. And so we should be more careful with what food we actually have. Doesn't seem like it's happening. Okay, interesting little article here. This came out of Investment Watch blog. The internet is less free today than it was a decade ago. Part of it is the camp. Oh, gotta take another break for commercials. We'll be right back.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
It happens more often than we can imagine. In my case, I was sitting at home, and out of nowhere, I just started feeling uncomfortable. Then it got worse, and I started perspiring. I tried to ignore it, but I waited too long. The chest pain came as we were driving to the hospital emergency. I felt my life clock begin to tick. I barely survived. There was lots of damage done to my heart. What do I do now? I was lucky. I took a leap of faith and tried a 7-herb formula with hawthorn, garlic, cayenne, and more called Extendivite. Herbs have been used for thousands of years to keep us healthy. If you're not using Extendivite as a preventative supplement, maybe it's time to start. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay, unemployment getting
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And we're talking about the internet. And Edward Snowden has come on out saying that the internet is less free than it was just a decade ago. And certainly those of us who spend a great deal of time on the internet have watched that decline. The campaign of deliberate disinformation by government and corporations, the constant surveillance, the constant hacking, the DOS attacks and so forth. And Amazon, Facebook, and Google are engaging in an abuse of personal privacy. They've taken the attitude that they own your data, no matter where you want it to go. Big bird, big bird. Twitter is apparently now censoring news coming out of Palestine. They shut down the accounts of Quds News Network, a major Palestinian news publication, without any warning or explanation. We don't need an explanation. Israel told us to do it, and we must do what Israel says. Israel, the all-powerful, the all-knowing. And so Twitter has provided no explanation why it shut this all down. And it's just another alarming act of censorship. It shows how these major tech giants are complicit in Israel's efforts to suppress news and information about the abuse of the Palestinians and their rights. They don't want to change their behavior. They just don't want you talking about it. Israel's worked hard over the years to sort of create this positive image, how they treat the Palestinians. And it's all falling apart. They don't know how to deal with a population that is trading information amongst itself. And all the censorship on Twitter and Facebook and everything, it's in the end, it's going to shut down Twitter and Facebook and Google because nobody's going to want to use them anymore. People are going back to emailing lists and so forth and so on. Anyway, let's take another phone call. Chris in Arizona, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, what's going on? How you doing?
Doing okay.
Oh, good. Yeah, I wanted to talk about internet censorship. What's Trump doing about it? You know, because it seems like he's the one that's behind all this stuff. You know, from day one, he always talked about how he was going to censor the internet. You know, to stop ISIS and all this stuff. So, I mean, but now the only ones that are really being censored are conservatives, and then he's not doing anything about it. So it makes you wonder. I mean, so what's going on? I mean, who heads the ADL, Mike? Do you know his name?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
Oh,
well,
wait a minute. Abe Foxman.
Oh, that's the head of the ADL?
I think so.
Because, I mean, those are the ones that are behind all the censorship online and on Twitter and all that stuff, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's what it seems, that they're trying to curtail speech and, you know, who can say what and all this stuff.
They're not the only ones. I mean, you've got the pharmaceutical companies who are trying to shut down anybody questioning the safety of vaccines. Big Ag
I'm
is...
not talking about the safety of vaccines. I'm talking about internet censorship.
Well, anti-vaxxers
are
are being subject to internet censorship. Anyway, Chris, stay on the line. I'm going to come back to you after station identification.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. It really does work like the review says it does. I cannot believe that after the first few days, I didn't feel as sluggish or clogged up. It has had a profound impact on my physical, emotional well-being. I'm skeptical as most people about products and their claims, and I never write reviews, but this is a wonderful product and I recommend it to everyone. Great product. It has brought my blood pressure from the mid-150s over the 80s to the mid-130s over mid-80s. along with diet and exercise in just the past couple of months. Excellent. Thank you, David. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. We're talking with Chris in Arizona about internet censorship. And it isn't just critics of Israel who are being censored. People who question the safety of vaccines are being censored on the internet.
No, I never said it was anything about critics of Israel being censored. I said, do you know who is in charge of the ADL, the main sponsors of the censorship online? His name's Jonathan Greenblatt. Do you know about him, Mike?
Not all that much, no, but they're one of the sponsors of online censorship, but they're not the only one. Big Pharma's behind all of this.
No, you keep trying to divert and transgress to like vaccines and stuff. I'm not talking about that, Mike. I'm talking about internet censorship and who's behind it and how Trump is right on board with it. And why is Trump not doing anything about it? The only ones that are really being censored, Mike, are the ones that actually do have real critical issues. They talk about immigration, about our aid to Israel, all different things like that. You know, it's okay if you start talking about, you know, LGBT rights and socialism and all this crap, you know, they'll let you talk about that. But the second you do actually mention anything that's critical of Israel, they'll shut you down. So you telling me, Mike, that you really think that Trump's not behind all this internet censorship and that he's not on board with it? Or do you really think that he's going to do something about it?
Well, it's obvious by this point he's not going to do anything about it. And it's a terrible betrayal of the independent media, considering how hard we all worked to keep Hillary out of that chair that Trump sits in today.
So hold on. But, Mike, you got to listen to what you're actually saying. You're saying that you did this to keep Hillary out of that chair. Newsflash, Mike, she's running again. So what does that even do then? So hold on. So who are we going to vote for now? Tulsi Gabbard? Come on, Mike. I'm saying, you say different things all the time, but you don't ever really mean anything. I'm telling you that who's behind internet censorship? The main people. Who's the main group that you can't talk about, Mike?
You're trying to focus on Chris, you're trying to focus on Israel, and I understand that's your perspective. My point is, it's not just...
I didn't say anything about Israel.
You said ADL.
You're the one that brought that up, and then you brought up
said ADL. You said ADL.
ADL's not run out of Israel, is it? No, it's run out of the United States. They have branches in Israel. They have branches all over the place. Who's the head of the ADL, Mike? Come on, I told you. Jonathan Greenblatt.
Get to the point. Get to your point.
Does Donald Trump have any connections with Zionism?
Well, his family's good friends with the Netanyahus, and we knew that going in.
You know his daughter's real name is Yael Kirshner? Her name's not even Ivanka? Did you know that, Mike?
No, I did not know that.
So is she a Christian or what? You didn't know that her real name is Yael Kushner. What do you know about Jared Kushner?
Well, he's the son-in-law.
Do you know anything about Jared Kushner? He's
Okay.
the president's son-in-law. So what gives him the right to be in power? Hey, how about this, Mike? Can you name some of Trump's accomplishments that you worked so hard to get him in that chair for? Can you name one of them?
No, I've made it very clear
Name one
over
of
the
Trump's
last...
accomplishments.
Chris, stop cutting me off or I'm cutting the line. Made it very clear over the past
I'm
months.
listening. Go ahead. Name one of his accomplishments.
Okay. Thank you, Chris, very much. We're going to let you go here. And I've made it very clear over the last several months, I'm very disappointed in Donald Trump. Okay? And I understand that internet censorship is a very critical problem of our day, and that the censorship seems focused on those who are a threat to various vested interests. But it's not just the ADL. Big Pharma is engaged in the censorship. You know, they're going after the anti-vaxxers. Conservatives in general are under attack. It's just become this fascist playground where anybody who says something that a corporation or a politician doesn't like gets cut. And that's not what the First Amendment is all about. Now you have these fools who are out there saying that the First Amendment doesn't cover criticism of Israel. Of course it does. The First Amendment is an absolute. It covers everything. Now, if Hillary does run again and shows some sign of traction, I don't know what I'm going to do. Go fishing or something. But I'll tell you this, after the way Trump turned his back on the independent media and his other supporters, we're not going to go to the same effort that we went to last time to get him into that White House. And I'll be very honest, my work in 2016 was less about getting Donald Trump in and more about keeping Hillary Clinton out. And I'm still adamant that she should not be allowed to be president of the United States because she actually thinks the American people betrayed her by not voting her in the last 2 times she ran. And if she becomes president, she's vindictive. She will find a way to punish us all. So anyway, we're going to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network. All right, getting on back here to the world of computers. Apparently there's a man who is claiming his Fitbit started burning up while he was sleeping, leaving him with horrific 3rd-degree burns, said it felt like the gadget was melting through his arm. Now, he's probably talking about a failure of the lithium-ion battery. I'm wondering why he was wearing it in his sleep. I don't know about the rest of you, but when I go to bed, I'll take my watch off because that's when I charge it. Now, it turns out that all of these Assistant smart speakers have yet another vulnerability. Apparently, the microphones incorporated into these home assistants are so sensitive, they will interpret pulsing light as a sound. Meaning an attacker can take an infrared laser, modulate it, some words like open the front door, beam that onto the smart assistant from way outside the house, and the front door will open. I wouldn't have one of those in my house. I absolutely will not have one. So, now over at Oberlin College, their president is still saying that Gibson's Bakery, which won a $44 million judgment against the Ohio school for libel, is still out there saying that, yeah, Gibson's Bakery, they're racist. They're absolutely racist. $44 million judgment. Why does this guy still have his job? That's what I want to know here. Speaking of those who question vaccines, there's a new study showing how the HPV vaccine can trigger an extremely wide spectrum of autoimmune diseases. Now, you know, originally this was a vaccine for young girls to protect them against cervical cancer. Then they wanted to give it to young boys because, you know, since boys are now able to be women, we presume they can get cervical cancer. And now they're targeting adults. So HPV vaccines have been linked to over 100,000 reported adverse events, including disabling autoimmune conditions and deaths, but officials seem unconcerned. They're too busy making money. Merck set the tone for the truth-stretching claim that HPV vaccine risks were negligible when it conducted its initial clinical trial for Gardasil, and dismissed as irrelevant the serious medical conditions that arose within 7 months in half of all participants who received the vaccine. Talk about an inconvenient truth there. Parents are concerned, and they're very concerned about all these laws being passed in all the states saying that personal belief no longer counts. You will load up your child's arm with these 30 different vaccines, of which CDC owns the patent on most of them. Now the parents are coming on back and saying, well, what about religious exemptions? And they'll take that away too. Because we live in a country right now where it's all about pushing the product and getting your money. Whether the product is any good for you, whether it's healthy for you, even if it's harmful, get you to buy it. Get the money. I get a sense of like absolute desperation in our corporate climate. That things are just so tight. The attitude seems to be anything for a buck, AFAB. And as a result, our population is getting sicker and sicker. Our lifespan is in decline. We're supposed to have the best health care in the world. It's certainly the most expensive. Right now, it's ranked at something like 33rd, 34th. And with this flood of these mandatory vaccines, the number of Americans who suffer chronic conditions is growing. I was watching this commercial the other day for medication for plaque psoriasis and noticing that the active ingredient in the medicine that was being peddled is an immunosuppressant, which has raised the possibility that plaque psoriasis is a vaccine accident. They don't want to admit it. They'll just sell you another medication to deal with it. They get you on one medication, and then they sell you another dozen to deal with the side effects. So, all right, well, the global warming cult is still out there screaming that we need population control. There's a worldwide climate emergency, and saying failure to act will lead to untold human suffering. Actually, government leads to untold human suffering. Okay, we're going to take another phone call here from Mark in North Carolina. Aloha, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. Hey, Mike, I just recorded a video today on my YouTube channel just about called capitalism versus socialism. And to be honest with you, just what you're talking about now, things like this, is turning me more and more towards socialism, towards believing really what we need. Because this garbage, pushing these vaccines and pushing the GMO and pushing all the other garbage, and even climate change, comes from the capitalists, from the extreme, what I call predatory capitalists. They call it crony capitalism. I call it what it really is. It's predatory capitalism. It destroys everything it touches. It eats up everything. It gets bigger and bigger because it's not regulated properly. It's not. We don't use our antitrust laws against it. And I think it's time, really, socialism is not all that bad. I'm looking at what's going on in Venezuela. The only reason they're having the problems they're having now is because of these vicious sanctions they put on. In reality, Maduro is not a dictator. Neither was Chavez. They were elected. And on top of that, Maduro is a very religious man. He's a deeply religious Christian. And so, by the way, is the guy in Nicaragua, Daniel Ortega, who the whole Iran-Contra thing was about. He just recently they just abolished abortion. They said they outlawed abortion, and they also outlawed gay marriage. It's a very Christian nation, and it's not a dictatorship. So because you have socialism doesn't mean you've got a dictatorship. There's nothing in the Constitution that prohibits socialism. I mean, you could say private property, but it doesn't mean because you got some kind of a socialist country that you can't own your own land, or you can't own your own place. It simply means you can't be a predator and own and have so much money. You start using that money as a weapon, and that's what these billionaires and these big corporations are doing. They're even getting us into wars. What do you think all these wars are about? You see what Trump says? Oh, we're going to steal your oil, and on top of that, we're going to steal Stolen Heights there. Golan Heights, Stolen Heights.
Yep.
This is also because of big money. On top of that, lobbyists from other countries. This is, Mike, I'm telling you, I am going to vote. I want Tulsi to win real bad. But you know what? If Bernie Sanders gets the nomination and he runs against Trump, I'll vote for Sanders. Nobody else is a Democrat ballot. I vote for. They're all garbage. But Sanders, I believe he'll try to make some real changes. Whether he'll be able to do it, I think he might be too old and too weak to accomplish it. But, who knows? I mean, he is pretty dedicated, And as far as Tulsi goes, I think she will really make changes that we really need, especially in our foreign policy that is driven by capitalist greed. I'm really, Mike, I'm really to the point. I used to be much more conservative. That's changing day by day rapidly. And when we go over stuff like the, like the vaccines, the garbage they're putting and I've never taken a flu shot. I don't plan on taking a flu shot. I got the flu, I think the last time I got a real bad case of the flu was 20 years ago. Okay? Got over in 2 days. That was it. It's just this stuff got to stop. I mean, these people, they want to own everything. They want to boss us around. Even so-called climate change is really driven by the capitalists more than anything else, because they're the ones that want the taxes, the carbon taxes. They're the ones that are pushing that nonsense, like Goldman Sachs, big on climate change. Monsanto, of course, big on. But what they're not telling you is what they're really polluting this country with and the world with is their genetically engineered garbage. Not only the food, but they're doing a lot of other things. That's the problem, Mike. Predatory capitalism. And if they can't control that predatory capitalism, I'll be honest with you, I'm voting for socialism. I'm tired of this. I don't think it's all that bad. I certainly have nothing to lose. I got, I think me are probably the same boat. I mean, I don't have much. I got a, manufactured home I live in. It's on its own land. It's not, it's kind of in the middle of the woods. But I'm happy with it because you know what? I got my privacy. I got animals all around. I got my animals. I got, I don't need a mansion. Okay, I don't need $1 million mansion somewhere. And if I had a mansion right now in certain parts of California, it'd probably be burned to the ground by now. So,
true.
You only need so much money. You don't need $1 billion. Okay, you really don't need it, especially since they're taking this money, and they're using it as weapons. Okay, people like Bloomberg, Gates. Gates is a big time eugenicist.
Yeah.
He brags about it, and his people are so stupid they'll still take the vaccines he pushes and thinks he really means good for everybody. He doesn't mean good for anybody. He's a predator and he's a eugenist, and I think he's one of these people who like to pretty much eliminate the entire Earth population. I saw the movie, the new Terminator yesterday.
Yes.
And you know what? There's a lot of political correctness in there and stuff like that. Making the women the hero and stuff like that. Okay, fine. I agree. And he even had something about the border and how bad the border patrol is. But you know what? I kept my mind on the meat of the matter. And you know what that is? That is artificial intelligence. That's the danger. And if you look through what they were saying, you could see that's the danger. We are building more and more artificial intelligence, more robots. These billionaires and these elitists think that they're going to rule the robots and they can get rid of us. What they don't understand is the robots will kill them too in the final analysis.
Yes.
But they really think that they can do that. They want to wipe out either most of or all of the human population and take off. This is what their final goal is. Sort of Rainbow. Tom Clancy had it down pat, Rainbow Six.
Yes.
This is the
I was going to mention that.
Yeah, it was a great book. I don't think it ever made it in movies. I wish it had, but they would have probably butchered the movie anyway. So, just like they did with Sum of All Fears, when it was really about Islamist terrorists, I think, the book, and they made it like European neo-Nazis. They'll butcher. They butcher a lot of these books. But that book that was really great, and I think it shows really how evil these people are, and how elitist thinking they are, and how dangerous they are. And that's why I'll watch a movie like the last Terminator, like I saw yesterday, because you get all the political correctness given. You really get down to nitty gritty, and you know what? I think Hollywood, they're elitist also. I think the Illuminati has a ritual. I mean, it's a ritual. They want to tell you what they're going to do. They'll tell you what they're going to do to you first. And then they'll say to themselves, well, you're so stupid, you won't even realize it, and we'll do it to you anyway. That's, I think, with a lot of movies like the Terminators, the whole Terminator series, and the what's that other movie, Matrix, and other movies like that. I think that's what Hollywood wants to do.
Well,
They
this
want to
latest
scare you.
Terminator
They want
movie is bombing at the box office. Again, because it's been politically corrected, and people are sick of that. Anyway, listen, Mark, I got to let you go. We got to take a break for commercials. We have more callers waiting on the line, and we'll be right back.
Hey, this check is wrong. I worked a holiday and 7 hours of overtime. Not getting paid correctly is a real pain. It could also hurt our boss if our company provides out-of-compliance checks. That's right, construction companies doing business with the government can get fined, or officials of the companies can go to jail if the checks aren't right. It's a law. The Davis-Bacon Act has 30 compliance issues for every check, but there is an easy way for construction companies to be in compliance. EMARS offers Compliant Client, a web-based system that finds and corrects all 30 of the possible out-of-compliance check issues. Users of Compliant Client report an 80% savings in time and money. Running a weekly payroll usually takes about 5 minutes. All 15,000 plus clients of EMARS have never had a legal compliance issue. Plus, they sleep better on check day. Contact EMARS at emarsinc.com or call 480-595-0466.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. We'll plant 'em anywhere you like and blow up anyone. Whip this world into a frenzy, killing babies, dads, and moms. If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. If you got the money, well, we won't say we did. The towers in New York.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're going to go back to the phones to Nathan in Northern California. Aloha, Nathan. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, hi, Mike. In response, well, I got a couple, three things, then I'll get to my main point. In response to that caller who says, well, you know, tell me what Trump has accomplished. Well, one thing he can do is go to the West Virginia Coal Association's website. And you can read the president's message, and he says that Donald Trump has fulfilled every single one of his promises to the coal industry. So that's a good start.
Yes.
And, yeah, every single one. Yippee-skippy. And what I also wanted to mention before I get to the main point is you've said in the past that the Taliban would chop your hands off and legs off if they caught you growing poppies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, John Kirikou said that was for 1 year. Now, if you want to hear that video where he says that they only did it for 1 year, they ramped it down, and then they ramped it back up, you got to go to A Sea of Blood, John Kirikou, and I think it's at the 19-minute mark, but I'm not 100% sure. But it is in that interview. And he did a 10-part series interview with The Real News. But he said it was only for 1 year. So you might want to rethink that. And the last point I wanted to make, Google in your spare time, negative people poison. And for all you bad spellers out there, Poison. And read any article and go from there. But you will find that negative people can make you very, very ill.
Yes.
Anyway, okay. Yeah, they can, Michael. And, you've got negative people calling in all week long and just dumping garbage on you. Your so-called negative friends, they're going to kill you. Anyway, I wanted to talk about the last time I called in was in mid-July. I took issue with Dustin, and, he says nothing is happening, blah, blah, blah. And so what I did, I mentioned 5 facilities. U.S. Steel, which was remodeling its Mon Valley facility in Pennsylvania. Foxconn in Wisconsin, $10 billion. Cameron LNG in Louisiana. Chrysler Fiat in Detroit, $4.5 billion. And I mentioned Mazda Toyota in Huntsville. So, about 10 minutes after I hung up, this guy calls in and he said, Nathan is completely wrong about these facilities. All these manufacturing deals that, I mentioned, they're being finished up in the ground well before Trump was in office. And that is a flat-out lie. Why is this guy calling in? Foxconn wasn't in the ground. Cameron LNG, Trump was there for the grand opening in May. Mazda Toyota just announced their Huntsville joint venture, and so did Chrysler Fiat up in Detroit. And the strangest thing that happened is that Dustin calls in the next day and he said, did you hear Jeff in North Carolina say that these facilities were all in the ground? Well, these guys are trying to stick me as a liar when I didn't lie. And so my question to you is, are you paying Dustin to call in? Are you and Stadmiller paying Dustin to call in here?
No,
to
we're
bash
not.
Trump and you're not? Okay, well, whatever. I remember the first rally that Trump did in Louisiana, and he said that the only reason people go to a Trump rally is to see a rock star. And if that's not a paid Trump bashing whatever, I don't know. It has nothing to do with patriotism. I mean, this guy is off the wall,
Well,
so you're
Nathan,
not paying him.
Nathan, it's no secret that politicians rely on their own star power to fill up those rallies. I mean, Hillary Clinton did it, Bill Clinton did it, and it's become part of the political landscape. And
yeah,
I think for a lot of people, there is a certain thrill in actually seeing these people in person that you've only seen on TV for the rest of your life. Anyway, listen, Nathan, gotta let you go.
Oh, yeah, sure. Go.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We have other callers waiting on the line, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Many people tell us about their experience with Extendivite. Just listen to what Glenn has to say.
Prior to taking it, I had diabetic neuropathy. The Extendivite reduced that significantly. Acid reflux was reduced. I had athlete's foot, very severe. Trimmed that down to about 75%. Dandruff, almost completely gone. I had occipital neuralgia at the base of my skull. I was having migraines, reduced by about 90%. Heart palpitations, my heart would kind of stall out. I would skip a beat, very uncomfortable. And when walking from downstairs going to sleep, by the time I got to the bedroom, which is just one flight of stairs, my heart was pounding, coming out of my chest. My vision was blurry. This completely solved that problem. Great product. Thanks.
Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're going to go back to the phones here to Tony in New Jersey. Aloha, Tony. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Mike. Nui Nui.
Aloha, Nui Nui.
Hey, I was calling in to see what you think about legal immigration. 100 million non-whites that come into the country every year. How you think that's a good thing?
Well, I have no problem with legal immigration because it means these people are going through medical checks. They're going through background checks. I think there should be reasonable limits so that American jobs are reserved for legal American citizens.
Yeah, but you also advocate for voting, don't you? So when you have 100 legal immigrants that come into the year, who are they going to vote for each year? Do you think those legal immigrants are going to vote conservative, or do you think those legal immigrants are going to vote, for Democratic?
Well, there's an interesting dimension to this that few people talk about, and that is that most of the legal immigrants who are coming into this country are very religious. They're very Christian, and so without somebody out there, without somebody, waving an inducement or at them, I tend to think they're going to vote more conservative than liberal. But if they're a legal citizen, if they're a legal citizen, Tony?
Okay, so the 100 million legal immigrants are going to come in and vote, conservative. Okay, that makes a point. I thank you. Okay, thanks for your opinion, Mike. And then can I ask you one more question? When did
yes.
when did they put on the Statue of Liberty, give me liberty, or give me, the open invitation? Wasn't it like during the 1965 Immigration Act? You know who was behind that?
It's not actually on the Statue of Liberty. It's the opening lines of a poem.
Yeah, but when was it put there? Do you know?
I don't know that it's actually physically on the Statue of Liberty.
Oh, okay, because you never climbed up there.
Well, on the inside, yeah, when I was a kid.
Isn't it something like Ezra 11 or something that she put the poem there, give me you're tired, you're poor, and like it was never like that, when they first gave the Statue of Liberty?
Yeah, that's the poem, and it was actually during the heyday when the United States needed a flood of immigrants to grow the country, to fuel the industry. But again, as a sovereign nation, we have a right to say, okay, we will allow this many legal immigrants into our country this year.
But what do you mean as a sovereign nation, though? Like, how are we a sovereign nation anymore? If we're bringing in a million legal immigrants,
we've not surrendered our sovereignty to any other power.
If we're bringing in a million legal immigrants a year, let's do the math, Mensa Mike. Come on. After how many years will there not be any white people anymore? Because they're not bringing in white immigrants, are they, Mike?
Okay, Tony, if they're legal immigrants, there will be controls in place. I know the liberals want the borders wide open. Soros wants the borders wide open, but I don't have a problem with legal immigrants. It's the illegal immigrants.
Between bringing them in here legally and then just having open borders?
MS-13 for one, contagious diseases for another. A mindset about we don't have to assimilate, you have to adjust to us. I mean, Teddy Roosevelt said it best.
And you think those million immigrants a year are going to go conservative?
Tony, my turn, my radio show. Teddy Roosevelt said it best. If you want to come here, you're welcome. But just understand we have one language here, that's English. We have one set of laws to which all must conform. And you've got to fit in. You can't come in here and
but
just
Mike,
start screaming.
That's not happening now.
I understand it's not happening, especially with the illegal immigrants.
Continue with the same thing? It's happening with the legal immigrants too, Mike.
It's mostly the illegals who are acting this way.
No, that's not true. That's a lie, Mike. That's a
Tony,
lie.
we're going to have to.
Well, let me say one more thing. Okay, let me say one more thing. So,
no, I think we're done with this phone call. I'm going to switch over to Tom in Florida. Aloha, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Good day to you, Michael. That was a little wild exchange here. Your last caller, Tony, the Statue of Liberty, I believe that was in the 1890s when they started, where they were talking about give me your tired and your poor and all that. Because it was a gift from France, the Statue of Liberty. We all know came from France, the French. And to your last caller's point, I will say this. There is something that's kind of really curious, so Michael, and you agree to it, that you're bringing these Hispanics in here, who whatever they come from, and they're keeping their own cultural identity more than they ever did in the turn of the century. Because remember, they even had inoculations at the turn of the century. So you were the Poles, the Danes, the Swedes, the Germans, Irish, or whoever came here, they had to get inoculated, number one. These people are not even being really vetted properly that are sneaking in. You get the ones that go into facilities are getting maybe, but the ones that are sneaking in, you never catch them. You don't know where they're at, what cities they're going to. Yeah, that's got to stop. But by the way, you saw 9 Americans got murdered in Mexico yesterday. I'm sure you saw that, right?
Yeah, it was like a drug hit.
Yeah, a whole family of little kids. They say they raped. Matt Drudge report. I'm looking at Drudge just now. He said 4 of the women were raped. The kids were shot to death in the SUVs. I mean, Matt Drudge has got a really heavy report on this right now. If you go on the Drudge report, about what happened to these women and kids. It's sickening. But yeah, Michael, that's another thing that Molly Tibbetts' case is coming up next month. They're going to start bringing that Tibbetts, and now they got all these Mexican consulates coming here saying this poor guy. The poor guy here, he takes her out in a cornfield and rapes her or whatever he did to her, stabbed the heck out of her. And, the media's keeping this hush-hush because they know this is going to be explosive. Now you got the 9 Americans murdered. That's going to be explosive. But again, Michael, like we always talk not every time, but a lot of times when I call your show, look at the murder rate in Chicago again, Michael.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. And here, Trump's this and Trump's that and Trump's all. But look, I think Trump is tough. I think he's tough because, you know what? He's basically telling you the border is going to be secured one way or the other. And by the way, did you see Newsmax yesterday, Jerome Corsi, what defense they showed, the virtual defense the military is using, Michael?
Yes.
You heard about that new fence they got? They have a fence.
Is that the one that the smugglers are already sawing through?
No, sir. No, that's what. Let me explain it to you real quickly. The Newsmax had it on. Corsi shows the lady the actual footage of the military. They've been using this in Afghanistan, Michael. And I'm not. And Corsi, Jerome Corsi's telling them, why haven't they built the 1,700 miles that they need with this fence? Because this fence can be built. You can have it built in 6 months. The whole quadrant, the whole 1,700 miles. This fence is unbelievable. You have to see the video. When a truck runs into it, the fence goes upward and it collapses back down. Nothing can penetrate it, and it's 12 feet high. It's a 12-foot high metal fence, and it's some kind of weird metal they're using for this fence. But if you see the video, you're going to go, what the heck is that? I saw the video, and of course he had it on Newsmax yesterday. I think he had it on OAN also. He was on One American News with the same video, and they showed this fence. The United States military is currently using in Syria, Afghanistan, all these other places. And I'm saying, and of course, he's already got a hold of Trump to tell him, hey, start building this fence. You don't need all that 30-footer. You just got to put the 12-footer up. And this thing collapses when the vehicle hits. It just collapses back down in the vehicle. And as far as people trying to, a man might be able to scale up, but a woman would have a very hard time trying to scale the fence. Some men may be able to, the Mexicans might be able to scale up the males, but not the females. I almost promise you that. But, Michael, I got to let you in on a little secret. Have you heard about the movie The Terminator? The new one out with Schwarzenegger and what's her name? And that's what I really called your show about, and everybody in your audience. In the movie, they showed a beast train. You know the beast train that brings all these Central Americans up into Mexico?
Yeah.
Well, there's a 10-minute clip in the movie with the beast train and all these thousands of Mexicans on the beast train. And they're, but I'm saying to myself, of course, Hollywood's Cucafornia. I call it Cucafornia. And Cucafornia, they always have to throw a little bit of liberal slant and everything, and all their filthy garbage they put out nowadays. It was a very action-packed movie, but here again, it's about the beast train in Mexico. You have to see it to believe it. And I'm saying to myself, that's a good question. If they want to stop this immigration, all these hundreds of thousands of illegals, why haven't they derailed the beast train, Michael? Why hasn't that thing been sabotaged where it can't come south? North, where they're at. Why isn't that beast train been why hasn't the United States military? Because Trump's talking tough now that he's going to go after. He's going after I guess, what happened with these 9 Americans murdered. I'm saying, well, why don't they just take a couple F-35s and blow these tracks out? Because what are these tracks serving the purpose for? What is this beast train actually for? What does it do? What is the beast train for, Michael? Do you have any idea?
It's just hauling people, and I don't know what its freight load would be. But with all these trade wars going on with Mexico, I can't imagine that there's all that much trade going on where that train track would be used for anything else. But the reality is there are a lot of ways to solve this illegal immigrant problem that are much less expensive. Like everything else involved with this government, it's just turned into another excuse to plunder the treasury and enrich politically connected contractors.
Well, Michael, I got a little shout out I want to give to Dustin, because I know he'll probably call tomorrow or maybe later if he's already called. But listen, I want to ask Dustin, Trump had a rally last night in Kentucky, and Donald Trump did call out Pelosi. He said, hey, Pelosi, instead of trying to impeach me, why don't you go back to your city of San Francisco, clean that dump out? Get rid of it. Why do you have poop control all over the place? Pelosi. So I want to know, Dustin. Dustin say he's not going to vote. I think Dustin maybe he should weigh things out a little more as far as that's fine if you don't vote, Dustin. But your state of New Jersey is in total chaos with that Robert Mendez. You got a bunch of kooks coming in New Jersey from. By the way, all these kooks did you see what's going on in Minnesota with the school board over there? The schools are exploding with so many illegal kids.
Yes.
That was on Breitbart today, Drudge. There's so many kids coming in from these third world countries into Minnesota. It's like, what the heck happened to Minnesota? Forget I could tell you stories about Portland, Maine. Maine's gone. Portland, Maine is gone, Michael. It's part of Africa now. So my big buddy told me that lives up there in Portland. He said, John, 20 years ago, you'd have came down here. Oh, man. Oh, no, you can't do that. Now look at it. I mean, it's just unbelievable what's going on here with all this immigration is insane. Big John was telling me everything. It's unbelievable. The people in Maine are so fed up. They're leaving in droves. They're going to the Carolinas. They're leaving Maine like crazy. Believe it or not, that's a beautiful state, Michael. By the way.
Yes, it is. I've been there many times.
People are just totally fed up with. I can't even tell you what he's telling me about how the government's helping these people, these refugees come in there getting free electricity and heating oil. But if you're an American, you got to pay up your yin-yang for heating oil and electricity.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. The stories I've heard, I couldn't believe it. But this immigration thing, Michael, I tell you, like we've already said, these demon rats are, they're going to try to get Texas. That's the main state they're going after to get all these Mexico, whoever they can get, Central Americans. They're going to flip that state in 8 years. That's going to go Democrat. You're going to see that.
Yes.
You'll see that. Texas
they're going to
go
try
Democrat
and flip it next
all
year.
over. I don't think it's going to happen next year, Michael. I'll be honest with you. It's not going to happen next year. But it's going to be a slow burn, probably in 8 years. Look at New Jersey. I remember that in the 60s, actually, New Jersey was a pretty much Republican state like California, where Dustin's from. You got all those Puerto Ricans coming. A lot of these Puerto Ricans, they come in here. They're not Republican. They're full-blown Democrat. There's some of them. I got a lot of friends that are Puerto Rican that are Republican, but most of them are Democrat. And they're coming in from Puerto Rico into Florida. That's what they're trying to do here. And that's why, thank God we got a governor who said no sanctuary cities, because you know what, this guy Gillum would have won. That would have turned Florida into a sanctuary state, just like California. We'd have every state would be, city in the state of Florida be a sanctuary. Now they're actually rounding these people up and getting them out. They're getting them out. I must say that. That's a good thing. And as far as the Statue of Liberty, I'll tell you what, instead of holding a torch, I think she should be shooting a bird saying, keep out. We don't need no more. We're overcrowded. We're full.
Yes.
The halls are full. I mean, that's what I think. So we'll see what happens in this election, Michael, coming up within a year now. It's only a year out, so we'll see how it's going to play out. It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be very interesting.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the phone call, Tom. We're going to switch over to Miles in Maine. Aloha, Miles. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael.
Yes.
I just wanted to comment on a couple of the calls. It's been such a day for the contentious callers, but I want to, Tony, I agree with the genesis of his point. Nathan, I totally agree with, and I'd like to caution Nathan, you must remember, and I like Dustin, makes a lot of good calls, but Dustin is a lifelong Democrat, so he's not used to seeing anything get done. And then, you got Mark. You've got Mark there, and I don't know what he's looking at, but socialism's never worked anywhere. Every country involved with it's floundering and always has from its essence. And he's going to vote for Tulsi Gabbard, anti-gun, open borders. The only good point she's got is the anti-war position, and they're not going to let her carry that out with all these war whores they got running around. So, I don't know what Mark's talking about. I mean, what's he talking about? Bernie Sanders? That's a good choice to take 95% of the billionaire's income? I mean, I don't know what Mark is. I don't know what happened with him, but he needs to come back on board, come back in alignment, look at reality, because, Cortez building a bridge to Hawaii and all this nonsense. I mean, I don't see how anybody could understand how, and taking the guns and all this nonsense, how any of that's of any value. They've never had a solution for the economy. And he was wrong from the beginning. What did it do about Hillary? Well, it's 2019. Hillary's not there. So that's what it did. And, you know, I can understand people being unhappy with Trump because no matter who is this president, no matter, pick your favorite. Pick your favorite of any president that's existed. 50% of the people don't like him. So I think we should be happy with the few victories at least we do get out of Trump, and hope that maybe we can persuade him through, you know, activism, phone call, whatever, talking to his people, to come a little bit more our way. But for these people that always sit there and say the man hasn't done nothing, they're just unconscious. They're in a coma because they just want to see that he hasn't done nothing. But actually, like Nathan pointed out, Nathan was exactly right with his numbers and his statements. He really was. And that's all I really wanted to say, Mike. As usual, it's another great show, but I thought it was just pretty contentious today.
It was definitely contentious here. But, you know, again, politics is perception. And we're going to have to let you go because we got to take another break for commercials. We've got another caller waiting on the line, and we will be right back.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When your doctor tells you have bad cholesterol or blockages in the arteries, what do? When diet and exercise is not enough, we try medications and hope for the best. For the last 2 decades, I have been telling people about a natural method to help solve these problems and more. Extendovite can help maintain cardiovascular health and lower blood lipid levels in adults. The 7 herbs in Extendovite are known to work together synergistically to get the results we hope for. There are many testimonials on Extendovite's effect on circulatory-related ailments. Get Extendovite today to start your journey back to a healthier life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or see us on amazon.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Join Mike on the air. Call toll-free 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. We're going to go back to the phones here to Jill in Arizona. Aloha, Jill. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, aloha, Mike. I'm just calling. I'm really surprised at how angry and accusing and short-tempered some of your callers are, and they cut you off, and it's like, my goodness, as if you run the world. But we don't always agree, but I find your show enjoy every bit of it, whether we agree or not. But I can't imagine calling and, accusing you of this and that, and why haven't you done this? And I was just going to tell you, hey, have a good day, and I'm praying for Claire, and I just hope you get settled in, and I wish you well.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the thought here. And I figure probably by the end of this coming weekend, I'll have this all sorted out. And we're going to be down to the part of the movie where we decide what gets hung on the walls and where it goes and that other decorator type stuff. And as far as the hostile callers, they're not calling in to have a debate. They're there to push a particular point or agenda. In this case, one of them today was there's really functionally no difference between illegal and legal immigrants, and therefore we should allow the illegals to continue to pour on in, or whatever the rationale was behind all of that. But yeah, it does feel like this show is rapidly becoming a focal point in the online debate over whether Trump should be reelected or not. And frankly, I don't see anybody out there any better than him. I just don't want Hillary to run against him.
Oh, boy, that'll be fun. Well, to your listeners, I have a little insider information that, yes, the wall is going ahead, and there is a push on any work involved with building the wall. It's like we want these reports in yesterday, so they can calm down a little bit. But don't take it out on you, is my point, is like, my goodness, you can disagree with someone in a respectful manner, and it just upset me to see him be so angry with you. So I've listened to you for years.
Well, thank you very much.
All righty, Mike. Well, thank you. That's all I wanted to say. And you and Claire, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
We certainly will. I mean, tonight is the season premiere of The Curse of Oak Island, and I'm waiting to see that happen. And considering how little they accomplish season to season, I don't know why I find that show so addicting, but I do. It's one of the few TV programs I actually queue up on the DVR. And so anyway, Jill, thank you for the phone call. We're going to let you go, and we're going to switch to James in Tokyo. Aloha, James. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
The last caller, Mike, she's right. A lot of sour people calling. Like one of the guy who called you, Chris. He sounded like a real sour SOB. But anyway, I listened to a replay of your show from yesterday, and there you go again, Mike. You're getting on the case of Greta Thunberg for trying to stifle opposition on Facebook. How dare you, that little irritating Soros-sponsored wench should be on the other side of the ocean going to school.
Okay, well, listen, James, stay on the line. We got to take a break for station identification. I'm going to come right back to you after these words from our sponsors.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, hour number 3. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And we're talking with James out of Tokyo about Greta Thunberg, who just went through a recent embarrassment. Go ahead.
Just wanted to mention that point briefly, but you had another caller talk about Syria yesterday, and he said that he wanted to have Trump impeached, not because of the phony Ukrainian telephone call, but because Trump is securing the oil, so I'd like to see him be impeached. I know you don't like the Trump and the U.S. securing that oil, but personally I think it's a stroke of genius, because by doing that, they're preventing the Kurds from going into Syria for war to take that oil so that they can have enough dough to make their own Kurdistan, which will lead to further widespread war in the region. It also prevents Erdogan and his sons from stealing that oil and selling it for their personal benefit. And it also prevents the previously Obama-supported ISIS people from taking that oil to support killing more Christians throughout Syria. And Syria, it's better for them because they proved that they were not capable of protecting their own oil resources. So now Russia, Turkey, the Kurds, and Syria, they're engaged in peace talks, which I think might go well because the whole oil thing is out of the question. What do you think about that?
Well, I agree with most of what you said, but Trump has made it clear that a big part of this is controlling the oil agenda is keeping it out of the hands of Assad, because Assad would use that oil revenue to rebuild Syria after all these years of war being made on their territory. And the bottom line is, under international law, under the UN Charter, Trump has no legal right to be in Syria at all, let alone grabbing the oil and trucking it out. And so in the context of the rule of law, you know.
Yeah, I agree. He has no right to be there, but now everything has occurred, and for peace in the region, I think this is just the best way. That guy Tom is right. Immigration is totally out of control. I think Japan has really great immigration rules. If you want to come here to try and get with a normal job, you have to show a college diploma. You have to have a company sponsor you for a job that will pay you at least $30,000 a year. They vet people. So you don't have a big problem. I'm a legal immigrant here myself. And then after living here for a couple of years and you pay your taxes and you stay out of trouble, you can apply for your green card, which they call it here a permanent residency. But, yeah, New Jersey is a shithole town. My mom used to have a house there, but don't have Dustin keep calling back. Mike, you always let Dustin call back over the most minute things. For example, Tom would say, hey, Dustin, I cut my own lawn, so I don't need an immigrant. And so Dustin calls back and he goes, well, I want to respond to that. It's okay if you cut your own lawn. And then he just will go on and on and on. Well, Trump is not doing anything. He's not building the wall. He's not doing this. Actually, Trump has been doing a lot of stuff. He got out a lot of bad trade deals. He's bringing jobs back. He's bringing manufacturing back. He's cutting taxes. He significantly reduced regulations, which personally affected my life in a positive manner, as one of my investments was due to these regulations. And due to that, I was able to retire at the young age of 55. He's the only person that I see that is even trying to take the issue of immigration seriously. And the wall is being built, though not as the pace, which I guess he wants to, because there's so much opposition from the Democrats. So, Mike, you should keep to the rules. You let people just call in once a day. And I think, everybody should stick to that. I responded to people that called from yesterday. And if I had called once, I wouldn't call back to respond to people. I think that's fair.
Well, your point is well taken here. And I think as we go into the election next year, every American citizen needs to basically look around and say, how has my life personally been changed by the Trump administration? Forget about the coal miners being happy. Forget about this factory being built. Forget about the immigration wall. Everybody needs to look at their own life and say, is it better now or is it worse? And would it get better with this candidate or would it get worse with that candidate?
I totally agree with that. And finally, my final point is, recently you're talking about the whole LGBT, the transgender stuff, and I'm in total agreement with you. I mean, it's not like, I really don't care what people do in their personal life, but they kind of like pushing this whole thing on society where it's like, you have to really be for it, unless, and if you're not totally for it, you're just like, you're a terrible person. You're not normal. So the only final thing I could say about that is, Mike, Kellogg is making a new cereal targeted towards members of the LGBT community, and I want you to stay off it due to the high soy content. I'm very scared that you might leave that lovely harp-playing Angel Claire and move to Thailand and spend all your free time looking for ladyboys. So don't eat that, Kellogg, okay?
Well, it hadn't occurred to me that there was even a possibility of that. And my understanding is that this all-inclusive cereal is really just a repackaging of several of their name brands in the same box with the appropriate color cover illustration, box illustration. And I don't think it's going to do very well because it's very expensive. It's more symbolic than anything. And I'm a little too old for breakfast cereals anyway. So anything else?
Cute. Pink box is cute. That's all I have to say, Mike. You have a great day.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go. We're going to do a shout out to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network. So let's talk about human-caused global warming. And apparently there's this article that came out of governmentslaves.com saying 11,000 experts propose a final solution to global warming, just kill billions of people. So either that means a world war, an induced pandemic, or maybe we should all start making up lists of people we think need to be shot. So the Chukchi Sea between Russia and the United States has long posed a big question mark to polar bear researchers. The bears there are one of 19 distinct subpopulations found across the circumpolar Arctic, but nobody knew just how many bears actually lived in the region. And for decades, this lack of knowledge presented a huge challenge to those attempting to forecast the endangered bear's future. But after 8 years of tracking and tagging, scientists finally have an answer. They're not endangered. A study published in Scientific Reports, a Nature journal, researchers from several federal agencies and the University of Washington pinned the population down to an estimated 2,937 bears. So for all intents and purposes, the Chukchi polar bears appear to be doing well. They're not drowning. They're not dying from human-caused global warming. By the way, if you still think humans are causing global warming, are you in for a rough week, both in New England and out in the Pacific Northwest? Now, Trump is starting to withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement. That's one of the things I agree with him on. And Alyssa Milano is out there demanding to know why Trump hates everything. Because anytime somebody does something that Alyssa Milano does not agree with, it's obviously they're a hater. They are a hater. Reality is that the slight increase to carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is leading to a greener Earth. Plants are growing faster, more productive. They're producing faster crops. Do you know in commercial greenhouses, they will artificially increase the CO2 inside so the plants will grow faster and produce more saleable crop? Carbon dioxide is not a toxin, it's not a poison, it's an essential component of the chain of life on Earth. But it's being villainized and demonized because they want to say, oh, carbon dioxide is bad, and you icky-poo human beings, you're the cause of increased carbon dioxide, therefore you must atone your money and your obedience. Anyways, we mentioned earlier in the program, Terminator Dark Fate is practically dead on arrival. They're predicting a $120 million loss. And as that caller said, it's because it's politically correct. They kill off the lead character in the first part of the movie so they can replace him with this young girl who's politically correct. And I don't understand why Hollywood has not picked up on this yet. When you take an established character that the audience has responded well to in the past, and you feminize it, or you turn them into indoctrination, and then it bombs miserably. I think the feminization of Ghostbusters is a classic example. And it wasn't the fault of the cast. They were all very excellent comedians. They basically modified the original script, so it wasn't the script. It's just people aren't used to having that thrown at them. Characters that they're used to, all of a sudden change gender or have no gender. And there's also a time in a film franchise when you have to realize you've run its course and it's time to quit. So you've jumped the shark. It's time to retire and enjoy the money you've made, enjoy your fame, start hitting the science fiction convention circuit, Comic-Con and so forth, and ride your fame for a little bit. Anyway, we were talking earlier, well, actually just yesterday, about all these quakes that are hitting all over Mindanao. Apparently, they've had a 6.6 quake strike off Tonga, and it hit about 83 miles west of Nayafu, the country's second largest town. They're not expecting permanent damage from it. Then they had a magnitude 6 quake hits in central Chile. No damage reported there. So the Earth is a rockin' and a rollin'. It really, really is. Got that jump down, bounce around, shake the town, earthquake boogie. Alrighty, now apparently AMD, which has been considered up until now a chip-making underdog, they're starting to really glow because of the problems that have come out with Intel's chips and their speculative execution, which has opened up huge security problems. And if you patch the chip to get rid of the security problem, then the chip slows way, way down. So they're having a good time over there. All right. So apparently Boeing is now being accused of poor information security, and it threatens passenger safety, national security. This according to a researcher. Let's see, Chris Kubeka, in an address to an audience at the Aviation Cybersecurity Conference in London, saying, no, they're not being careful. They're not being careful at all. Apparently, there is a new bug that has shown up in the updated Firefox that causes the browser to lock up after displaying a message saying the computer is running a pirated version of Windows that has been hacked. And it then throws up a toll-free number. It says, call now and make a payment to license your Windows or your computer will be permanently disabled. There's so many scammers out there, and yet all of the effort the government seems to put into the computer is to silence critics of Israel and conservatives in general and people who don't believe vaccines are safe. In other words, people who think for themselves are now being targeted. Resistance is futile. You will be assimilated. Okay, all right, we got a caller on the line. Dustin in New Jersey, I was kind of waiting for you to call on in. What's on your mind?
Yeah, those silver shekels you gave me, Mike, they're starting to rust.
I was going to say the check is in the mail.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody says that, you've just lost the argument. You know, to say something like that when you can't agree or disagree with somebody, you got to say something like that. I take money, I'm getting paid off, or yet another caller says I'm a lifelong Democrat. I'm 49 years old. The first time I voted was for Obama. I'm not a lifelong Democrat. Yeah, I agree on some Democratic issues. I agree with like closing the border. I'm not for open borders. I'm not for what they're doing in Britain where you can't say ladies and gentlemen. I don't agree with transgenders and all these kindergarten talking to kids with the transgender book club signings and all. I mean, but I agree on like, you know, healthcare, basic healthcare for people, and I agree with no wars. I'm more of a libertarian per se, but
yeah.
I mean, people, and then other callers are saying like, oh, manufacturing, you know, Trump's bringing the Drudge Report had 11% manufacturing now. It used to be 13%. So how do they explain that? They said, well, they're all, the listener said, oh, he's got the numbers. Well, we're manufacturing down to 11%. It used to be 13. That means it's reduced. So the manufacturing jobs are not there. Just because a Foxconn or whatever company opens up a factory doesn't automatically say, well, Trump did that. You know, Trump, these deals are years in the making, years and years ahead. You know,
yes.
Like when the next president gets in, that president might not been able to do those. That might be Trump then. But just to say, well, Trump's in, all the jobs are coming back because those things are already in motion. Yeah, that's easy to figure out. But I mean, I look on the Drudge Report and I look at, I said it yesterday, record number of immigrant families crossing the border unhindered.
Yes.
That's a fact. You know, Trump leaves Syria only to come back. That's a fact. You know, so I don't understand why these people just see, Mike, the problem is either you're a Democrat and Republican, it's either they're right or I'm wrong and they're wrong. I'm looking at the facts right here. This is on the Drudge Report. It's not like a liberal website. You know, so I don't understand. I mean, what's your I don't understand why. But just people calling in saying, "Well, I'm a hack or something." I ain't no hack, man.
Well, as you said before, that's their last resort. I mean, when I first started pointing out that there were serious problems with this human-caused global warming thing, I got tons of calls and tons of emails saying, "Oh, you must be in the pay of the oil companies." Well, I never got a check.
These callers are regular callers, Mike. They call in you know, I don't think they're shills. I think they believe in what Trump says. But I mean, they make Trump like he's their brother or he's their family member. I don't know Trump, but these people don't know Trump neither. I'm going by what's on the Drudge Report and what I see with my own eyes. You know, I'm not going to say, oh, Trump's doing this, Trump's doing that, and all the people going to his rally. Big deal. So what? I see a lot of people going to other people's rallies. That doesn't mean squat. A lot of those people don't know what's going on. A lot of those people don't even realize that we armed Al-Qaeda and Al-Nusra Front. A lot of those people who go to those rallies don't understand that. They just don't do the research. You know, I'm not ripping on them. I'm not saying they're stupid. I'm just saying they just don't do the research, you know. But that's all I got to say, Mike. I mean, it just aggravates me. People call in and say I take money. They don't like what I got to say, so I'm bad.
Yes.
And remember, by the way, Mike, I voted for Trump. Only 2 presidents I ever voted for in my whole life is Obama, which was a big mistake because I believed in his hope, and Trump. And that's it. It's not a lifelong Democrat. I voted for Trump. I just don't see any results, So that's all I got to say, Mike. Have a good night.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go. The phone lines are open. 800-313-9443. Got an interesting little email here. Mike, that caller, Tony, who kept interrupting you, was the same guy that did the same thing about 10 minutes earlier under the name of Chris. It was the same guy, exact same voice, exact same demeanor. He was just calling in under a different name and doing the same thing. Well, we get that a lot here. Now, that's the unpleasant reality here. There are people who are paid to disrupt online discussions. Oh, my goodness. We're down to our first commercial break here. We'll be right back after these 2 words.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation. And Angioprim is the result, a safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slows circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Kelly in Austin. Aloha, Kelly. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Okay, well, I'm going to avoid politics today, Mike.
Good.
You mentioned the increase, or an apparent increase in earthquake activity today around the globe. And then yesterday, I think you discussed the New Madrid fault system in the central continent. And I would tell you, as a geologist, I have a few comments to make about this. First off, that this is happening is not unusual. Earthquake activity has varied over time, as plate tectonic activity has varied over time as well. And so that it's occurring today tells you that Earth is doing what it's been doing for billions of years, operating through plate tectonics. So what you're seeing today is really not unusual. The New Madrid system is something different. It's a fault that runs up, or a system that runs up through the central part of the continent, and it's what's called a craton. So the forces acting on that are somewhat different from the forces acting along the subduction zone and the transport fault zones along the west coast of North America, Central America, and South America. But when that thing goes, I expect that that's going to be a devastating earthquake because of where it occurs and the type of rocks involved in this matter. So they're very hard, very competent rocks. And when that thing shifts and it moves, it's going to transmit a lot of energy a very long distance very quickly. And I expect that depending upon where the focus of the earthquake is, there could be a lot of damage to some of the cities up and down the Mississippi embayment.
Yep.
So don't buy property in Memphis or St. Louis if you're concerned about the New Madrid earthquake. Now, when is that going to occur? Heck, I don't know. It's like trying to predict volcanic activity or earthquake activity. Anyway, but one other thing I want to tell you about this is that my son-in-law brought home a book that he got from a library up in Pflugerville, Texas, and the book deals with the influence of climate change and global warming on earthquakes and tectonic activity. And I saw that, and I wanted to practically throw it into the fireplace because it's just pure trash. There's nothing in the climate that's going to affect the central heat engine of the Earth and affect the convective system that's moving these plates around on the surface of Earth. And the fact that somebody can actually publish trash like that and that people would read it, to me, is absolutely appalling.
Yeah, but anyway. If you look at all the things that have been blamed on human-caused global warming, there's actually a sub-page off of my ClimateGate page. I mean, anything going wrong anywhere on Earth, increase in prostitution, it's got to be global warming's fault. And it really is ridiculous, and it's hysteric. And climate changes. It always has, it always will. And it was changing long before humans showed up. And it'll go on changing after we're gone.
Well, people need to understand that the current climate is actually rather cool with respect to climates that have preceded this one.
Yes.
If you look back at the temperature record through time, temperatures have been a lot higher. CO2 concentrations have been a lot higher and a lot lower. But the CO2 concentrations are really among about the lowest that they've ever been throughout geological time. You need to be concerned about this because if you get much lower, you get down to around 150 ppm in the atmosphere. You're at a point where you can no longer really support plant growth. And, and so we'll be in trouble there because the CO2 in the atmosphere is involved in photosynthesis, and it's photosynthesis that produces the oxygen in the atmosphere.
Yes.
So we need to be concerned about not trying to drive this too low. Frankly, we could use a bit more because I think we need more greening of the earth in order to produce more oxygen.
I agree.
Anyway, that's an unpopular opinion to have here in Austin, Texas, with all the uninformed greenies around. But it's difficult to argue with if you really understand gas chemistry and how Earth's climate has varied over time.
Well,
anyway,
again, there's not a lot of science in this whole global warming thing. And of course, they don't even call it global warming anymore because we've got another early, hard winter on its way in. So they've rebranded it as climate change. And they're trying to convince us that the climate wouldn't be changing if it weren't for us icky-poo human beings.
Well, yeah. They're off in left field that the science presupposes this conclusion when you hear things like global warming science.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as global warming science. There is climatology, and climatology should not lead you definitely to one conclusion or the other. But too many people I know who jump into this, and that includes a good number of younger geologists who, unlike me, haven't worked in the extractive industries or have doctorates in geochemistry and whatever, are quick to glom on to nonsense like that. And I do my very best to discourage young people from majoring in nonsense fields such as environmental science, because those fields are really not designed to do anything other than indoctrinate young people into thinking
and generate
that
funding.
there is a problem. Right, right, it is.
All right, Kelly, got to let you go. Got to take a commercial break. We got other callers waiting on the line, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. September 2018. Extendivite works in keeping my blood pressure in the normal range. I've been using Extendivite for many years now. May 2018. Great product. I use regularly and I rarely get sick. March 2018. This product has relieved what appeared to be angina pain in my chest and shortness of breath after climbing stairs. I'm quite happy about it. February 2018. My husband, son, and I have been using this product for a few months now, and we have noticed an improvement in our joints and blood pressure. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied, but you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with, you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're going to go back to the phones to Gabriel from the state of confusion. Aloha, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. I just wanted to bring up the Trump bashing. I listen to this radio to hear what Trump does right and what Trump does wrong, so I can make my own opinion.
Yes,
that's what I listen to. Okay, when it seems like certain callers call in and it's a constant thing, either they don't think I'm smart enough to know these things, or they just like hearing themselves talk. Now, as far as Dustin, the gentleman called in and asked you, Mike, if you were paying him because he has preferential treatment when it comes to the one call a day policy. And Dustin is the person that calls in and talks the most about the left-right paradigm. People only see it left-right, but Republican, Democrat, calls in and accuses the gentleman about who brought up the inconsistency in the one call a day policy, and accuses of him of the left-right paradigm, not listening to what he says, not wanting to hear what he says. That's what I wanted to say, Mike. I appreciate your show. I listen to it because I want to hear what Trump does right, what Trump does wrong. And I spend $50 a month on this radio station. So if the Trump bashers want to meet me dollar for dollar, I'd appreciate it. All right, Michael, that's all I got to say. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot. I mean, Dustin has been with the show for a very, very long time. So I'm perhaps a little more forgiving with him than I may be with other people. I get a lot of positive email about Dustin. And so I have to take that into account as well. Anyway, let's go back to the phones here to Slim in Canada. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Greetings, Mike. I'm here to call about Dustin as well, sort of, in a way, but I'm not going to bash on the guy. He's a great caller, and he's been calling, just like you said, he's been calling forever. He gives some, he gives his opinion about Trump. He bashes Trump, but he gives rightful because he's disappointed. He invested all this time and let's say he invested all this rhetoric, I'm assuming, from a lot of his friends, just like I did, and you did probably, and I'm assuming a lot of your listeners did, for supporting Trump. And now we're getting the backlash, like as if we sort of did something wrong. No, we didn't. He's the one that turned his back on us. So therefore, we're going to criticize him, and it's our right as citizens. I'm Canadian, but as I still have the right to criticize my prime minister and your president as well.
Yes.
Right? And,
help yourself.
No, I won't do that too much. Don't worry. I'm not against Trump, and I'm not for him. I really don't. In a way, I don't care. It's all a circus to me. You know what I mean? And we're just, just sitting here. You as Americans, you get the front row seats to the circus, and we're, I guess, in the lower bowl. So, anyways, I'm just here to call that. Listen, you can't dictate the show based on trolls that are calling in the show. You have a few trolls that are calling in, bashing Dustin. And if you don't like Dustin, then you don't like the show. Then carry on. If you like the show and you appreciate who calls in and give their First Amendment right to, and that's what this show is all about, is to be able to, allow you your freedom of speech, allow you your freedom of opinion, right? And it's up to the show's host to respond to the person's opinion, whether it's yes, no, say whatever. And another thing, it's your show, Mike, and it's none of our right to say what you do, don't do, who you allow, who you don't allow, and who you want to answer the phone from. Well, I say you shouldn't listen to the trolls or feed the trolls, even though I'm being a hypocrite right now by mentioning them. But I think they should, all these trolls, like the dude who called twice, I think you should just run into heavy traffic, because really you're not doing anything for anybody. You're not helping anybody out, Really, you should just do yourself a favor and be another statistic and this and that. And I mean, that's my opinion. I know it's not yours, Mike, right? And I'm just going to throw that out there so the FCC won't come after you. But anyways, and another thing, I called earlier about, a few days ago about what's going on in Lebanon, the protests that are happening in Lebanon. Apparently, I've been bamboozled as well. It's all a big Soros-funded. For the most part, a lot of it's Soros-funded protesters. The leaders of these these protests are Soros-funded. So, over here, I've been, it's just like the Trump thing all over again that happened to me. I'm feeling sort of diffused, but I'm sort of happy about what's going on. I'm glad that hopefully the corruption will take care of, but at what end? Right? Hopefully they don't turn it into an Islamic State, and then we're in worse situations than we were before, right? So, but that's that's another side note that I just wanted to, an update to what I called in before. Like I said, people, if you don't like Dustin, I remember a lot of people crapped on John, may he rest in peace, John from Barbados. I remember John. And he was one of the best callers you ever had. And people crapped on him one day because he made a simple joke about America, even though he loves America. And he loved the idea of America. And everybody crapped on him and started crapping on London and this and this and this. And it went into this whole feud. And it started, and I was thinking at the time, this is totally counterproductive. This isn't helping anybody out. We got all these problems in the world, and we're sitting there worried about John for Barbados. And may he rest in peace. It turned out to be all for naught in the end. And, we all loved him. And now, look, we wish, that we can get him to come back and call back one more time. But, unfortunately, it's never going to happen. Mike, I got to let you go because I got to go. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate all your callers. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I mean, the rules here are very simple. If you call in and you're polite and respectful, I'm willing to let you air a point of view that is opposed to what I'm saying, because that's what discourse is supposed to be about. When you call on in and start screaming to basically force your point of view on everybody else, it is my show, and I have a disconnect button here, and I'm not afraid to use it. So let's go back to the phones here to Marcia in Massachusetts. Aloha, Marcia. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. I was calling to say I haven't tuned in a while, and I was actually happy to hear some people call in and support President Trump tonight, because I haven't heard that in your show. All I hear, and Dustin's one of them, is he hasn't done anything. He's been in there. He hasn't done anything. He was an outsider who came in, and he's been fighting the deep state, as Chuck Schumer reminded him before he was elected. We have, 1,000 ways, 6 ways from Sunday to get back at you. And he has to somehow try to get past the deep state to get anything done. He has done so much. When I listen to people call in and say he hasn't, where's the wall? He can't get Congress to give him any money for the wall. What he's come up with on his own is amazing. I think I'm just dumbfounded. And for Dustin to say he gets his news off Drudge. Drudge is left now. It's not even right. And I'm not either. I voted for Trump, but I haven't voted. The only other Republican I voted for was Ron Paul. And I wouldn't vote for Ross Perot back in the day because I said the machine's too big. I don't think he can go in. I don't think he can do it. He can't be successful against such a big machine. But Trump's been doing this a long time, and he came in on his own money. He didn't take money from anybody. He's the only president who's ever been elected and has lost money in office.
Trump took a lot of money from Sheldon Adelson.
Well, he did most of it on his own. I don't think we could argue about that. But Dustin and Mark called up tonight and he showed his true colors. He said he's for socialism. I don't know where you go with that. The vaccine thing is because the pharmaceutical companies were given immunity for vaccines. That's their business model now. They can just create, and they have no, they're not held to any legal standard on those. But just back to Trump, I mean, he has accomplished a lot. I don't know where people come up with saying he hasn't.
Well, I think if you go back on what he campaigned on in 2016, vaccine safety has not been addressed. The flaws in our election system have not been addressed. And maybe he's built a small section of the wall.
They are being addressed.
I don't see it.
They are being addressed.
Basically, he dropped the entire Election Integrity Commission and just turned it over to the Department of Homeland Security, who, as we saw in 2018, has done nothing just to ameliorate the problem.
He dropped it because the states wouldn't send him the information that he requested.
Well,
so he couldn't get the information because they said they wouldn't send it. So they're trying to address it different ways, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, basically, he turned over the vaccine safety to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's out there working as hard as he can, but can't get any mass media coverage. And as I said earlier today, I think most voters going into next year just need to ask a simple question. Has my life personally, me and my family and my business, is it better off now under Trump than it was under Obama?
I would think a millionfold. And you know what? We shouldn't compare it to was it better under Obama. We should compare it to what it would have been like under Hillary Clinton.
That I concede that point.
And I don't think any of us think that we would have been better off under Hillary Clinton. And you know, everybody loves, Mark loves Tulsi Gabbard now. Tulsi Gabbard was funded, put into office. One of her advisors was Tony Podesta. You know, it's why when Obama, I live in Massachusetts, you know, Mike, and it's very left. And, you know, Obama was, oh my God, it was like Jesus was running for president. Well, Brzezinski was his foreign security advisor. Who expected anything to be different when that was his foreign security advisor?
Well, that is the biggest mistake Trump made coming into office. He wanted to be magnanimous in victory, and he let all the Obama holdovers stay. He should have fought harder for Michael Flynn. And if Flynn is in fact exonerated and shown to be the victim of an FBI frame-up, that's going to reflect badly on Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is now surrounded with the same neocon advisors.
I have friends. Go ahead.
Trump is now surrounded by the same neocon advisors that George W. Bush was. And they're giving him bad information.
You know, whatever. I mean, I don't mean whatever, like you don't know what, I just mean we're going to agree to disagree on some areas. I just think he's cleaned out the FBI. He's taken out those rotten people at the top. He's worked in the DOJ. We can agree to disagree on who he's put in their place. I think there is a lot being done, but I think he has accomplished a lot, and I'll just leave it there. And I do agree that maybe you shouldn't let some people call in so much. Stick to your rules or whatever. And I just appreciated tonight that I actually heard some positive comments. And thank you for your show.
All right. Well, you're welcome. And I don't mind the positive comments about Trump from those earlier callers. It was the manner in which it was delivered. Like, you know, how dare you not see the world the way I see it, which strikes me as a very liberal thing to do. Anyway, we're going to go to Frank in New York. Aloha, Frank. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Michael. Thanks for taking my call. Mike, I was a big supporter of Trump. I invested hundreds of dollars, a lot of hours and time getting up lawn signs, going to different towns in this area. But he has failed. He has failed. He was supposed to stop the funding the sanctuary cities. He was going to jail Hillary. He was going to build the wall. He was going to get out of the Middle East. He was going to get along with Russia. He was going to bring back Glass-Steagall. He was going to overturn Obamacare. He was going to get money for the infrastructure. He was going to cap the deficit spending. He was going to have an honest 9/11 investigation. He was going to set up a vaccine commission, which he did, then he disbanded. He was going to set up a vote to prevent vote fraud commission, which he did, but then he disbanded that. He turned around, he sold weapons to the Saudis. The Saudis were involved in 9/11. Matter of fact, the House and the Senate each passed a bill, okay, to stop our aiding the Saudis in the slaughter going over on Yemen. And our presidential peace president, he vetoed that bill. Okay,
yep.
He signed the law to ban bump stocks. He turned his back on Julian Assange. He undermined Roy Moore. He bombed Syria based on a false flag. Okay, he's allowed a record number of illegals are coming in right now. He's hired more people for Goldman Sachs in 2 years. Okay, in a couple of years than Bush and Obama combined in their 16 years. I mean, I don't see how these people can still keep defending this guy. I mean, you know, he's broken so many promises that he made. And they say, oh, well, he can't get the wall. He's the president of the United States. You know, we can build bases in 800 countries around the world or whatever, if not 800 countries, or 800 bases around the world. And he can't build a wall? Do it. And make the Supreme Court or somebody. He's got the Supreme Court. Now, who's going to stop him? You know, like Andrew Jackson, you know, they said something was unconstitutional. He said, well, let them enforce it. And he went ahead and did what he had to do. That's what Trump is supposed to do. You know, and Trump brings in all of these guys, John Bolton and Pompeo and this and that. Why didn't he bring in Pat Buchanan and Ron Paul and Jesse Ventura, okay, yes. Dennis Kucinich, Cynthia McKinney? You know what I'm saying, brother?
Yep. I understand exactly what you're saying. Trump basically turned into George W. Bush light.
Oh, exactly. He's got Bill Barr there. Bill Barr was the one covering. He was, you know, helping out Ron Horiuchi. Remember Horiuchi shot Vicki Weaver when she's holding her baby? You know, Bill Barr was a big defender of his. Oh, we got to do this. We got to do that. You know, we got to bring in Tom Fitton. Okay, Tom Fitton's, you know, I remember he was on with Sean Hannity. And he said, you know, we got all of these crimes going on. When are we going to start prosecuting somebody? No, Hillary's walking around. They're all walking around. You know, we always hear, oh, it's coming down when the Inspector General Horowitz, when he comes out, this is going to happen. I don't see it happening, Mike. I really don't.
No, I don't either. And I think that's Dustin's entire point. And we're supposed to think Trump is doing a great job because he did something for the coal miners or he helped turn the ground on a factory someplace in the Midwest. That's not running an entire country. And that's why I'm saying going into next year, voters need to ask themselves, how has the Trump administration improved my life, me personally, my job, my family, my quality of life? Is it better or worse? That's what people need to start focusing on.
Mike, you hit it perfect. You said it perfectly there. You know, I mean, you know, who got the big tax break? The 1% got 80% of that tax break.
Yeah, they did. Anyway, Frank, I got to let you go.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, Michael, thank you for taking my call. You have a good day. Great show.
All right,
Bye-bye.
same to you. We got to take a break for commercials. Back with the last segment of our program after these few words.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. This product is superb. I have been taking it for about a year now, and I can feel my cardiovascular system run like a Swiss watch. I definitely recommend this product for anyone that has high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and heart palpitations, A+. It's potent, but it works. I have been waking up for the past 3 years with numb hands, and a week into using Extendivite, my numb hands seem to have cleared up. My circulation was off, and now it's back on track. So I'm happy. I feel so energized, and I have my husband on it now. My mother-in-law has cholesterol problems, so I bought her a bottle as well. Thank you so much. Love the product. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion.
Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Welcome to What Really Happened Radio. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. And now, set your eyes on the future and let's consider what really happened.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, last segment of our program today. And I really think, we're starting to see the ramp up of the propaganda campaign for Trump's reelection. And they're going about it very clumsily. But in the end, forget about what you're being told about how Trump did this or Trump did that or whatever, and just look in a mirror. Look at your own life. Look at your job. And just honestly say, has my personal quality of life improved in the last 3.5 years? And that should be your guide into who you're going to vote for. All righty. So anyway, the Senate has come out with a secret algorithm bill that doesn't actually fight secret algorithms. It's your Congress in action here. I love this story. This came out of governmentslaves.com. Apparently, police are warning of untrustworthy drug dealers. Well, they are drug dealers. And the police are now offering to weigh the drugs you buy from dealers to make sure that you received the correct amount for your money. So now the police are acting as quality assurance for the drug trade. I can't imagine this program is going to be a huge success. Certainly the drug dealers aren't going to want it to go anywhere. And the people who are buying the drugs aren't going to be concerned that they're being tracked now. What a dumb thing here. Over in Russia, the Duma is considering making Russian-made software mandatory for all Russian mobile devices, which means Apple, Google, Facebook would be shoved aside. And the legislation, which has passed its first reading, is basically aimed at Russia having a mobile communications technology that is not cracked by the NSA. To which I would comment, look for my article, Rivero Challenges the NSA, for some guidance and tips here. It is absurd here. Okay, apparently up in British Columbia, a cryptocurrency exchange over in Vancouver has shut its doors. It is owing more than $16 million to their customers. And so the BC Securities Commission obtained an order last week appointing an interim receiver to oversee the Einstein exchange after filing a petition in BC Supreme Court claiming exchange founder Michael Ongun Gökturk could not be reached. Well, I think we know where that 16 million may have gone here. We live in an age of scams, criminals, and unfortunately tolerance for same. So, alrighty, we already talked about Firefox. T-Mobile is now claiming that it owns exclusive rights to the color magenta. And apparently the argument carried in a German court, which told startup insurer Lemonade to stop using a similar shade in their marketing. So now we have corporations saying we have the intellectual rights to this particular color. Not since ancient Rome. and the Caesars observe the color purple for themselves. Have we seen such silliness? Okay, there's the music. Time for me to get on out of here and catch the season premiere of The Curse of Oak Island. Please stay tuned for John Stadmiller, and I'm sure he's got lots of things to share with you. Please spread the word of RBN. Please spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please continue to send in your support. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.